Okay, here's a video on squaring up. So there are two kinds of square up. The first kind of square up means to get flat, okay? And that's what it means in trading vernacular. So there are two kinds of square ups. Square ups can happen on a candle, and then we can also have square ups on Friday, which is called square up day. It's because all the swing traders who've been buying will sell out of their trades and vice versa. Let's just give you a little example here of what we're talking about, okay? So here you see up here on the 30-minute British pound, during the week the market was moving up, okay? Then what did they do on Friday? They sold off, okay? That's called squaring up or getting flat, right? Getting flat, okay? That's one kind of square up. Now, you know, typically that's a once a week deal, all right? And traders square up because we live in too crazy a world to stay in trades over the weekend anymore. All right, but the other thing is called squaring up a candle. So let me make these candles big and we'll see a couple here really pretty quick, all right? All right, so when the market is consolidating, okay, so for instance right in this area right over here, all right, the market is consolidating. What does that mean? That means during this period of time, the market makers were taking both buys and sells from the broker. This has to do with the market maker, not the broker. The broker's only job is to lend you money and execute your trade and then pass your trade to the market maker, all right? So we're talking about market makers when we're talking about this, and market makers are the ones who print these candles. The broker doesn't print any candles. All he does is facilitate your trade. All right, so when the market is consolidating, we call this consolidating, but the market makers call this accumulation. They are accumulating buys and they're accumulating sells simultaneously. Whatever the broker takes them, they've agreed to take both buys and sells during that period of time. Now, when the market breaks, as you saw right here, what they need to do is they need to immediately come back and get rid of the buys, okay? Because the buys are now toxic waste. The direction is determined, it's going to the downside, but the market maker owns all the buys that he took during this consolidation. So what does he want to do? He wants to get rid of them. So he wants to get up here, back up to where he was, and dump these trades to the dumb money. All right, that's what happens. Well, sometimes the market can't get back, all right? And so when it cannot get back, then this thing is an unsquared candle. Square up means, remember, squared means to get flat. They didn't get flat on the buys. So the further away they go from this, the harder it's going to be to get back, all right? But they will come back. Over 80% of them come back, all right? So just to give you an example here, here's another unsquared candle right here. You see they just took off right here, took off, but what did they do? They came back up over here and squared it up right here, and then they went, okay? Here's an unsquared candle right here, all right? They were consolidating in here. What did they do? Over here, they came back and squared it up right here. So square ups basically happen all the time. Now the ones we really pay attention to are big candles, all right? For instance, right here, here's a good example of where they did get it squared up. They were consolidating in here, the market broke to the north, they immediately came back and got rid of the sells and then went in the direction of the trade, all right? Now that's why we wait for what we call the break, hook, and go, because we know the market maker is always trying to get rid of his toxic waste. If he can't get back and get rid of it, he'll end up having to write that off on his books. All right, kind of like what happened to Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan and people like that. All right, so as we continue on, we can see there are lots of unsquared candles, but they ultimately get squared up. Okay, so here's a candle right here that didn't get squared up. This one did. This big one right here got squared up right there. See? So here, what did they do? They came right over here and took it out. They squared it up here, which gave them the ability to get rid of that. Right. Let's just look at another chart here so kind of make it clear for you. Let's go look at the Aussie dollar. Okay, you can do it on any chart. All right, it doesn't matter. So you know, there's not that many here, but you can see there's one right. This one they squared up because they got halfway down. Now, what they like to do is get all the way back down to here, but at least they got a retracement out of it. So they only took a small loss on the sells in here. All right. Let's see if we have any more here. This was an unsquared candle right here, and they squared it up over here. See? So they come back to them, all right? Let's take a look here. I'm going to try to find kind of a big one here. Okay, here's a big one right here. All right, so here's a big candle, consolidation prior to it, all right, or accumulation if you're a market maker. This candle, there's actually a couple of candles in here that never came back on themselves, all right? So we'll look for this area over here. When they finish this up, move to the upside, they'll come back down. So I'm going to mark this right here. Right in this area right here is where they need to get back to. All right, so they go way, 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 way up there. When they come back down, and boom. Right here is where they got out. Right, right over here is where they squared it out. That took all that time to get here, but that's exactly where they stopped, right there. All right, so squaring up is a phenomenon that happens all the time in the market, okay? And when we're looking for trades down on a 10-minute chart, okay, let's just take this down to a 10-minute chart, we could have unsquared candles here, all right? So I'm on a 10-minute, sorry. All right, so let's say that we're looking to take off and take a trade, okay? So for instance, right here, all right, this candle takes off, just flies up in the air. All right, what do we know? Well, the market was consolidating. They were accumulating right in here. So what do we want to do? Do we want to take a trade here? No, we don't want to take a trade here. Why? Because they got to square this up. So we'll wait for it to come back down here and take the bounce. We know that ahead of time. So what do? Well, there it is. It came right down, took it out here, and then off they went. So that's just a little quick video on unsquared candles. Start looking for them in the market. They happen every single day. 80% of them get squared up. All right. Now, one thing about candles that do not get squared up, it may take them 3 months to get back and square them up. All right. So if you find one that's a really big candle that has been left, a month ago, and they're starting to come back to that area, that's your target area right there. All right. Hope that helped everybody, and I'll see you in the live room.